That's where Fenway Park is.
MIT, or Massachusetts Institute of Technology Dome.
That is Harvard University.
Behind me is Micro Center.
Did you know that you could bike from here all the way to here?
Moderately safely.
Next on Now We Adventure.
Hey everybody, welcome back. You might have seen us leave off last time here at the Encore, which is in Everett, Massachusetts. We had gone north from here. Now we're gonna go kind of southwest from here. We're gonna go through Charlestown, and we're gonna go through Cambridge and along the Charles River. It should be a really fun ride, so come on along, let's see what we can find.
So again, we start off here at the Encore Casino, and this is all great, but then in about 2 seconds, we're gonna be in some not so great.
We're going into the real Everett.
Yeah, the lanes aren't really well marked, and lots of potholes.
These lanes suck.
Yeah,
And it's just, he said, the lanes suck.
These lanes suck. I mean, there's no paint on the ground anymore. I think it's time for new paint, maybe a curb.
And this is really fast traffic, so just be really careful.
Nice that there's a little bit of a division there. There's plenty of room for us. And now we're coming up on, oh, look, it looks all protected. That's great. And now we come up on this roundabout. We call them rotaries here in Massachusetts. Because it's not really a roundabout. It's a rotary. You'll understand it someday. And of course, we added traffic lights to this one. So, was that a little bit scary?
Yeah, I was glad there was another bike we could follow.
But now we're right in Charlestown.
And we're going to be coming back to Charlestown on another episode, so stay tuned for that because we get to see Bunker Hill Monument on that one. But this one, we're just kind of skirting through Charlestown.
Yeah, we're going straight down. I was just following basically what I saw on Google Maps.
I don't like these kind of bike paths, by the way, because you got to be really careful of those doors on those cars opening. So be really, really careful.
And the traffic that's on your left. I mean, you just have to be very careful. And again, now it basically dies. They're just basically putting a little picture of a bicycle man on the road. And we have to just, squeeze by through the traffic.
Well, that was a lot of fun. I haven't been in Charlestown since I was a kid. It's right across the Mystic River from where I grew up, but it never felt safe enough to be here unless I was with a big group of friends. And such a beautiful place, as you just saw. And I'm really glad that it's a safe place to ride now. Now, as you saw, there wasn't there was a bike path. It did stop, a block or two ago. You do have to be careful, but anyone who's good at city driving shouldn't have much of a problem. And from here, it looks like the weather's holding for us, so I think we're gonna cut across, go towards the Science Museum, and then decide which route we're going to take along the Charles River. Really excited.
Now, I don't know what was in the water in the 80s, but Charlestown was just a different place. Like, I know you think I'm crazy now. You look at it and you're like, what are you talking about, Zach? It looks fine. It was not.
And it's really nice now. So here we're going to be cutting across New Rutherford Way. We're basically trying to get to Paul Revere Park on the other side. And Paul Revere Park is interesting in that there's a road that actually cuts under New Rutherford Way.
Yeah, we take that on another episode.
As a Bostonian, being able to get to see the Zakim Bridge from this angle is kind of unique. Normally you're on the bridge. Here we are underneath it. The Boston Garden, or the TD Garden, is over there where the Bruins and the Celtics play. I don't know, it's just really cool to get to see the city from a vantage point you don't normally get to see it. And over here is a beautiful park, by the way. The things you don't get to see when you're in a car.
I love discovering this.
I'd never known that you could be under here.
I mean, it's so cool to get to see the Museum of Science over there.
Yeah.
And these locks that go off.
It's funny because I've been to North Station like 15 times, but I've never had this view.
It's the tale of two scales. You've got the scale above you, which is just made for fast speed cars, and then now you're below here where we can just be pedestrians.
Mm-hmm.
Then right over there is the bridge.
And the bridge that we're going over here connects up to the bike path that could take us all the way home. This takes us right to this park, which you watched our first episode where we go all the way from Boston to Westford. It should look slightly familiar to you.
What I think it is.
You go to the other one.
Why didn't it
It
work?
was a little too loud, I guess. And there is Boston's famous duck boats. They're a tour bus that can go in the water so you can see the city from both angles.
I don't know if you can see this, but this entrance ramp to the river is where the duck boats come in. I don't know if they also go out that way. I'm guessing they do. So if you're ever on a duck boat, this is where you're going to be.
And if you're like, oh, my city has that, well, they stole it from Boston.
Is that because of make way for ducklings?
I don't know. The duck boats were originally
Like World War
assault
II
craft.
landing craft,
Yes. And we are headed towards the Museum of Science where they actually start from. So if you're visiting Massachusetts in a car, you can park at the Museum of Science. There's the parking lot. And you can take your duck boat tour, which starts right from there. Also, the Museum of Science is a wonderful science museum.
Jesse used to work there.
I did. Now we're taking the Edwin H. Land Boulevard Bridge over what is essentially still the Charles River to continue to follow the Charles River.
All right, so over there's the salt and pepper shaped bridge, the Longfellow Bridge, and you're seeing the Charles River and Beacon Hill, Back Bay. We're going to be riding all along that on the north side of the river. And we just went through past the Science Museum where Jesse used to work. He had this view every day. Can you believe that?
Yeah, so you can see the red line going across the bridge, and right there is Beacon Hill. You can see the State House Dome. I didn't want you to miss that. Kind of the wrong camera to use to capture it, but that's where I grew up. And so it's kind of fun to see different ways to get around the city than I was used to as a kid.
And I've never been here before.
So wait, Jesse, you've never been in this part of the city before?
I have been to Cambridge, obviously, but I hadn't been to this specific spot, which is right on the Charles River.
This is so fun to ride.
Yeah, I mean, you're right next to the water, you're right next to everything. It's a nice separated bike path. You're not next to the cars too much.
I mean, technically we're in Cambridge now.
Yep.
Can you guys see the Citgo sign right there? That's where Fenway Park is. This is such a beautiful way to see the city. I was going to take the southern route along the Charles. This is the northern route along MIT. MIT is on our right. This is just beautiful. The bike path here is safe and easy.
Behind me here is the iconic MIT or Massachusetts Institute of Technology Dome. You've probably seen it before, maybe in Good Will Hunting. And yeah, it's just fun to be in a city with so many universities, so many smart people, so many cool ideas coming out of it. And this is just, we just lucked out in terms of weather. This morning it was raining and we just kind of took a risk. You know, in the summertime, you get all those thunderstorm weather forecasts and sometimes you just have to ignore them a little bit.
So we're crossing the Mass Ave Bridge here. If you want to take a left, you can go into the city, but we're going to Waltham.
And again, what a great little bike path. I mean, I think that I knew that it existed, but I had never been on it. I don't think I'd been on this road before either, because I'm usually just in Boston. The road crossings here were pretty well marked, so you knew where you were crossing, and you actually got a protected crossing, which was very nice.
The lane gets a little bumpier here, but nothing you probably can't handle. And so far, I would say you don't need a fat tire bike or anything like that to do this.
I know you're probably wondering why we stopped here, but behind me is Micro Center, and if you know anything about computers, you know that it's one of the best places to go for all your computers and peripherals and stuff. So if you're ever in the area and you got pannier bags, I would load up.
And I didn't even get paid to say that.
This video has gone through a computer that came from that Micro Center, so. And again, long light, which was kind of unfortunate, but it is better than getting run over.
As you're biking along here, if you look to your left, you will often see skulls.
Like spooky skulls?
Oh, sorry. I mean, crews, rowing teams.
Oh, rowing. Oh, okay. And that's the type of boat.
Right.
So that is Harvard University.
And most of Cambridge is Harvard, actually. That's
Yep.
just one of the many, many, many Harvard buildings.
So yeah, we just passed MIT and Harvard.
Okay, so I stopped here, not because it's super pretty, but you're on Memorial Drive, but it's a great place if you want to go right into Harvard Square. It's so nice. You're just 2 blocks away. So it's a great way to just go right into some nice restaurants and maybe, check out Harvard. Harvard Yard.
Yeah, Harvard Square is a beautiful place. Again, lots of great restaurants. You should definitely check it out if you're
plan it
in
into
town.
your trip if you can.
But we're making a beeline for Waltham. I don't think you necessarily have to go to Waltham if you're doing a trip like this. I think that Harvard might be a good spot to...
Might be a good destination.
Yeah.
And I mean, what we should do in a future episode is just ride around Cambridge. There's so much to see.
So we just stopped here in Cambridge. We're at Buckingham, Brown and Nichols. We're at their boathouse and a beautiful bridge here behind me. We're leaving Cambridge and we're going into Watertown soon.
And I just mentioned BB&N, Buckingham, Brown and Nichols. Lots of private schools around here for kids that will eventually probably go to Harvard.
Of course. And of course, they need to be on the crew team early, so that's why you see so many boats. This was a nice little path. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that it continues. We're next to Harvard University and stuff like that, and, they got to get their professors to school some way.
And this was late summer, early fall. Really great time of year in the New England area for bike riding because the weather is really nice. And as you can see, you get less competition on the roads. Now, this was getting a little weird here as we went into Watertown. This was under construction, so I want comments down below if you go on it more recently because I feel like this will be different in a few months.
Yeah, so we ended up in what looks to be a good little parking lot.
Yeah, this could be a good starting point because isn't that a Home Depot up on our right somewhere?
So we're on Greeno Boulevard here, but just to the right of us is a Home Depot with a big parking lot.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really good hack. We do this over in Everett near I think a Home Depot and a Costco and Target. Big parking lots means that they're not really paying attention if you're there for hours and hours. Because again, in New England, parking is really hard to find.
So coming up here, I wanted to do something fancy. I saw that there was this squiggly green line, which always gets my attention when I'm looking at a map. And I thought, why don't we try taking the squiggly line? So we biked up there. It seemed to be some kind of private school or housing development. And I was able to finally pick up where the heck this line goes. And so you'll see here that it doesn't quite go the way that I was hoping.
That's part of the adventure.
Yes. Looks really cool. Looks like it will definitely work, but
As you can see, this fence has impeded our path. It looks like they're blocking a public way, but we do have this long path down to the road, and then I guess we'll ride on the crosswalk or the bike lane down there.
I think if that fence hadn't stopped us, we would have actually been able to find a way through.
yeah. So here we have to completely backtrack almost all the way back to that parking lot area.
Familiar to you because we just came out over there and we went right, but it turns out going right sent us back here. So we're now going to go along the river and see if this is a safe path.
So we decided to cross over Route 20 here and take the far side, just because we knew that we were going to have to take a left eventually, and yeah, we weren't going to go through the woods there either. Overall, it still was a pretty good, decent path, nice and wide, plenty of room to pass people. And we came down this road, and then there is the path there on the left. We passed it by accident. We turned around, and we took it.
The Watertown Yacht Club was on our left, too. This is really fun find.
Yeah, I turned the camera a little bit because it's a really beautiful view coming straight out of the trees. This is where the whole thing turns woody. There's all sorts of wood, forest around you.
Now, I want to mention, a lot of people, when they get to this kind of place in a city, might feel scared because with all the woods, it can be places where people hide and stuff. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I knock on wood, it feels very safe. I think this is just maybe this part of the country or something, but it's not scary. So I wouldn't be worried about riding this with your family.
Yeah. So then we're kind of, skirting the street here as we head into kind of downtown Watertown.
this is why it's called Watertown. You're welcome. What a beautiful ride this is. I had no idea it was going to be so beautiful. We're along the Charles River. Now we've found a little falls here. Most of this has been so easy to bike and so wonderful to do on fat tire bikes because it can handle all of the, off-roading kind of stuff that we've been going over. Just beautiful. So there's some parking right here. Pretty sweet.
And that's why we do these adventures. We find the parking, we find the beautiful spots, and we find the beautiful bridges.
We should have called it Now We Park.
And we just found a bridge which took us to the south side of the river. So this is the first time that we're on the south side of the Charles during our entire adventure. We're going to cut back over to the north side eventually. I just thought that it was neat that there's this pedestrian bridge that gets to go across, one of many in Watertown and Waltham. And I absolutely love this kind of wooden boardwalk that we keep hitting. It's so nice.
And we're following the Charles River here, and back in like the 1700s when Boston was being founded, the river came out into the city and just became a marsh. And then they started basically putting a bank to it, and that's why it's got like actual boundaries. But before then, this would have been the only like river part left. It would have just become a marsh after this.
And so you can see there we went through kind of downtown Watertown, and now we are back into the woods.
This is really a lot of fun, and again, a part where I was glad to have a fat tire bike.
Mm-hmm. And more boardwalk, and then a bridge.
With a meeting, a
Yes.
business meeting.
We're just double checking where we were as these people had their nice outdoor business meeting, and we were able to continue now on the north side of the river.
I love those bridges, by the way. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. I love these boardwalks. I love feeling so close to nature. And it's so funny because if you look at a map, you're like close to just a whole bunch of businesses. So it's really, really funny.
All right, so now we are cutting into our final town of Waltham. And Waltham's a really fun town, especially if you want some restaurants. We're heading to Moody Street, which is our final destination, and there's tons of good restaurants on it.
Yeah, and we're back on the south side of the river because that big bridge took us over that way, and you can see there's another bridge. Plenty of places to cross. What a great little pedestrian walkway through kind of the heart of these fairly built-up towns. You just get this nice, nature feel. You're just a few blocks or even feet away from a large business. And here we're coming into Waltham, and you can see there's a lot of parking. Waltham has a lot of parking in its downtown. They've dedicated quite a few lots, and that means that the parking is relatively cheap, which is nice if you want to go visit Waltham. What an absolutely crazy trip, and it didn't even feel that far because it was all such nice trails. Yeah, right along the Charles River. I think that is a really wonderful way to get to see part of the city from kind of afar.
We made it. We're here in Waltham. There's plenty of parking. There's lots of public parking, which is great. And just a block that way is Moody Street, which is great for restaurants and shopping and stuff like that. I was so surprised at how wonderful this ride was. I was kind of picturing it was going to be more urban, but so much of what you just saw was by the river and beautiful. So I highly recommend this. There's so many other ways you can do it too. We were on one side of the river, like the north side for a lot, and then we went south, but there's both sides of the river. So this was a fantastic ride. Thank you so much for coming along with us. And make sure that you subscribe. Let us know about trips that you've been on. Comment down below about things that you've seen or that people should know about, because that's the big part about this community is I feel like it's the information that we're going to pass on down there. I hope this was useful to you. Let us know what you'd like us to do in the future. We'll see you soon on Now We Adventure.